Hey guys, Tom here from Metalloud, and I want to take time to talk about a gaming website called SIFTD.net. Now, with the demise of GameTrailers.com, many people are kind of wondering, first of all, where are the staff members of GameTrailers.com going to go, and really also what other sites are out there that may be similar in style as Game Trailers. And there is a site, and that's SIFTD.net. Now, the first thing, as far as where the staff members of Game Trailers might go, the reason I say SIFTD.net is because SIFTD was actually started by Shane Satterfield, the former editor-in-chief of GameTrailers.com. So he's already worked with these members previously for years, and he already has a similar mentality as GameTrailers.com did. So it's already a good fit for them to go there. And as far as what other sites, that's exactly the other reason why SIFTD.net is similar to Game Trailers, at least in the sense of what they're doing, their mentality, their feel, their style. So first, what is SIFTD.net? Now, it's a website that's not so much about original content, although I'll get to that. It's a site that takes a look at basically all the other gaming websites out there: Kotaku, IGN, GameSpot, PC Gamer, and pretty much everything out there on the web, and collects all their content for you in one site, on one hub, basically. So you don't have to scour the internet yourself. You can just open up SIFTD.net and everything's right there. Now, what happens with it is basically it's kind of sifted for you, and basically they give you what you want based on your interests. So you say, my interests are PC gaming and shooters, and those are the articles that are going to pop up to the top. Or I have no interest in simulation games, and you're not going to see as many of those. Things like that. And that's kind of where it comes into play. As well as the fact that when they find all this, the editors will essentially give a little blurb about what each article is and kind of what to expect, which means that you don't have to open up that article to know whether or not you should have read it in the first place. You know, you might see something and the comment might put you off to that article. You might realize, I don't actually want to read this one now. Something like that. Like, for instance, a lot of the reviews, you might see one of their comments is, well, this review only talks about, how they hated this aspect of the game, and it's kind of, one track and one-sided. You might think, well, I don't want to read that review. I'm going to read another review instead. Things like that. So it's more than just collecting that content. It's kind of really streamlining it for you so you know what content you want to get into. And it even gives you the option of limiting the publications that you see. So if you don't want to support sites like Polygon or Kotaku or whatever, you don't have to. You can just essentially block those sites entirely from your feed. Now, SIFTD.net is not a free site, and there's a big reason why. And it's more than just the fact that it does take work for them to be running this site, essentially, for them to be collecting all that information and delivering it to you in the way that it's done. And that's the fact that SIFTD.net is completely independent. There are no ads on the site itself. There's no corporate backing. Shane Satterfield essentially funded this site entirely himself, with help, obviously, but he invested a lot of his own money into this, and it is an independent site. It is not backed by, there's no Viacom or anybody like that behind this, and there's no advertisements. You're not going to see, Blizzard advertising the newest WoW expansion or anything on here. You might see articles about it, but you're not going to see explicitly a targeted ad. And that's something that is huge and really kind of leads up to what I'm going to say next, which is the premium content. Now, SIFTD.net has two subscription plans, two subscription options. They have a basic option, which is $10 per year, that basically gets you access to almost everything from the site, all the features, all the aggregation, things like that. It doesn't get you access to the premium content, however, and there's a few other things that are missing, but nothing that's experience ruining. It's definitely a good enough experience, but the premium subscription, which is $30 a year, that gives you access to a lot more, and to what they're starting to build, which is original content. They already have things like the Pachter Factor with Michael Pachter, if you remember him from game trailers, or Game Face with Shane Satterfield, his kind of continuation almost of Invisible Walls. I would say it's the spiritual successor of Invisible Walls. Even Marcus Beer was on there for a brief period of time, no more, but he was there. So definitely was a spiritual successor of Invisible Walls, if you remember that and we're into it. And they're starting to give us more and more premium content. Like, they just introduced something called Platinum Journey, which is kind of basically about trophy hunting and things like that. So they're starting to get more and more premium content, which is huge, and it's something that, hopefully will lead to, and this is why I talked about them being independent, and this is why the subscription is necessary, because hopefully we're going to see more games journalism from them, things like that, or even if it was just original content, even if it's stuff like the GT shows, like we used to have, the retrospectives or pop fiction, things like that. So if we get stuff like that from SIFTD, that would be huge. And like I said, there's no corporation backing them, so they need the subscription money. Things are not free. You can't survive off of, nothing, basically, because again, there's no ads. And if you want them to stay that way, you have to subscribe. You can't expect them to just run freely like that. And that said, it's really a low price for a subscription for what you're getting, the value of what you're getting, essentially. If you're talking, even if you go with the premium subscription, it's $30 a year. That's less than $3 a month. That's less than a cup of coffee a month. That old adage, it's ridiculously low for what it is, and you pay for the entire year. So you pay it once, and then you're set for the entire year. So you're not really actually paying monthly for it even. Now, that said, again, what also that subscription allows SIFTD to do, and what allows Shane Satterfield to do, is to expand that premium content. And this is where I talk about the GT staff. This is where he can use that money, and he has said that he will use that money to grab the staff of GT, be it Brandon Jones, the voice of game trailers, Michael Huber, or Kyle Bosman, two very big names of game trailers that towards the end of what we can now call the end of game trailers, they started, really kind of becoming celebrities of game trailers. And, game trailers always had names like Jeff Keighley, who I don't ever see as kind of a celebrity of game trailers necessarily. He was a big name. Everyone knew who Jeff Keighley was, but it was more of a sense of making fun of him in a way. I mean, I hate it because I'm sure Jeff Keighley's a great guy, but as far as that community went, he wasn't beloved. If he left game trailers, for instance, people weren't going to suddenly flock to his new endeavors versus somebody like Shane Satterfield, for instance, who I think a lot of people, whether they disagreed with him or whether they liked him or not, I think a lot of people respected him enough that they would follow something new that he was doing, like SIFTD. Somebody like Brandon Jones, the voice of game trailers, who I think people would follow. If he found a new voiceover show, people would have jumped ship from game trailers to follow him. And that's what I'm talking about. Michael Huber and Kyle Bosman and Ian Hink, they all started becoming these huge celebrities within game trailers, and they were beloved. And you see it on the forums and things like that, of people asking, where are they going to go next? What can we do? And on the SIFTD forums, you're seeing, how can we get them to come to SIFTD? And the subscriptions are the way, because they have to be paid. Nobody does things for free. And unless you want to see hundreds of ads like every other website, you need to understand that you're going to pay a subscription. So if you're a gamer, I really think you should check out Sifted. I really think you should subscribe just to support this site. If you're tired of if you're tired of sites like Kotaku and Polygon and Rock Paper, Shotgun, all those sites, you're just kind of sick of hearing things about the state of games journalism, support sites like Sifted, who are small, and think about it, it's been around for less than a year at this point, and we don't know where it's going to go from there. They've already shown signs that they're not going to just stay still. They're not just going to be the core element of Sifted, which is bringing all that information to you. That's an important part of it. That's the core element, but that's not what they're going to be forever, or that's not what they're going to only do. And that, if it was just that, I could see the arguments against a subscription, regardless of ads or not. I'd be willing to accept ads if that's all it was. But there's so much more to it. And at this point, I really think we need to kind of push back against the corporate element and say, look, this indie site can do it and this can support it. And you can't sit there and visit sites like IGN or any of those sites and then complain about those sites and those ads and the structure if you're not willing to support a site that comes around and tries to do things differently and tries to kind of just say, we're not going to be funded by the corporations. We're not going to be ad funded, or we're going to be independent. We're going to be doing everything. And in that sense, I mean, this site was built entirely by Brent Phillips, formerly of Game Trailers as well, who built the forums on Game Trailers and pretty much built GameTrailers.com, the website. And he's built Sifted as well. And it works so much better. The video player works beautifully. It works off of a tablet, a phone, a computer. It looks gorgeous on any of those, and it's intuitive to use. It's simple. It's streamlined. It's clean, and it's all these independent work. Like I said, Shane Satterfield, who invested money, his own money into this, and I think it's important to support it. And my motto, support good shit. You see indie stuff that needs help, don't sit there and just think the next guy is going to help them, or that they'll make it big eventually. No, support them, whether it's talking about them or telling about your friends, or financially, if you can, definitely do your best to try to support them in any way you can. It's very important in this world, especially when we have the power of the internet and we can help indie creators survive, unlike previous, where basically they had to rely on a corporate donor. They had to what people would refer to as sell out, or rely on ad streams and things. And now they can rely on their fans to support them, and that's great because it gives back. And it also ties you to that site. You supported that site, and that site knows that you supported them. They know where they came from, and they're not just going to stand by and just, if they have corporate backing, if they have something to fall back on, there's nothing that's going to stop them from just, screwing over everybody, or not caring about disclosures or things like that. But if they're completely funded by people like you and me, they're going to remember that, and they're not going to be as easy, at least, to try and screw people over, try to do something shady that, we're never going to forget because we supported them and things like that. So if you're a gamer, if you're interested in things like that, go ahead, check it out. It's sifted.net, and that's spelled SIFTD.net. So it's the word sifted, but without the E at the end, sifted.net. Check it out. You can kind of preview it a little bit and basically use it. But if you want the extra features like the actual personalized content and stuff like that, you're going to have to get that subscription model. So to alleviate that a little bit and to kind of get people into this and hopefully to subscribe, because I would love to see the Game Trailer staff go to Sifted. I think that is the perfect place for them. They've already worked with Shane Satterfield previously, so most of them already know who he is and know his style and things. And I think it would just be a great place for them to end up, and especially the fact that it's an independent website. They're not going to be forced into doing anything that they don't want to do. So I would love to see them all be able to head over to Sifted, but that's not going to happen without support like that. And people have been talking about Kickstarters and things like that, but this is probably the best way to get it done. And like I said, Shane Satterfield's already gone on record saying that he will use the subscription money to get them over here. So with that said, what I'm going to be doing is running a contest for the next couple weeks where you can win a subscription to Sifted. I'm going to be giving out 2 basic subscriptions and 1 premium subscription to 3 winners total. What you want to do to enter is just follow me on Twitter at Metalloud, and you want to tweet with the hashtag GTmemories or Sifted is Metal. SIFTD is Metal. You use either of those hashtags, and definitely want to at me whenever you tweet. You want to basically tell me about your fondest memory of game trailers with the hashtag GTmemories, or you want to tell me why you think you deserve to win a free subscription to Sifted for a year. And from there, I'll be picking out a winner. So this contest is going to run through March 1st. I will announce the winner on either sometime between March 2nd and the 5th. So no later than the 5th, you'll know if he won or not. But again, you do have to be following me on Twitter. And you do have to tweet at me with the hashtag either GTmemories or Sifted is Metal, any of those, and I will be putting you in the running to win a free subscription to Sifted.net for a year.